Alright, so, before I decided to start trying to make a Let's Quest video, which I can't really do because I don't have any quests that I haven't done, as you can see, I decided that I'll just try to review a few things. Well, I'll just decide to try to review this week, Anyway, this week, the people at Jagex came out with something called Strykewyrms. Strykewyrms are a quite interesting Slayer monster, which require, well, there are three different types. There's Jungle, which requires Slayer level 73. There is the Desert, which requires Slayer level 77. And then there is the Ice, which requires Slayer level 93, as well as a Fire Cape. And just so you can see what the pictures of them look like, for some weird reason, if you ever wanted to, you've got the Jungle, you've got the Desert, and you've got the Ice. But anyway, so each of them has their own special drop, like any other Slayer monster. And the Jungle ones have something called a Hex Crest, which is like a Slayer mask for magic. I don't have that. The Desert drops a Focus Sight, which is like a Slayer, which is like a black mask except for ranged. And you can combine the Slayer helmet, the Hex Crest, and the Focus Sight to form up the full Slayer helmet, which, well, is a pretty useful piece of Slayer gear, because that way you can use all three styles at once and still have bonuses against a Slayer monster. Anyway, though, you can only kill them while you're on a task, and I personally think that's a good thing, because then we don't have a whole bunch of campers here. It's kind of like how, the Kuradal's dungeon, which I'm in right now, is. And, well, I personally find that I think this entire update in terms of the Strykewyrms so far was good, because the Strykewyrms aren't that hard. I mean, they have a few interesting attacks, especially one where they burrow into the ground and try to then come up from under you, dealing 30 damage. And that means you have to stay on your toes. They also don't have too bad drops. Most of them are noted, so that means that you can still be there for a long time and not worry about having to constantly go to the bank. Okay, so the only problem I have with Strykewyrms is the fact that for some reason Jungle Strykewyrms are not assigned by Kuradal. And that's really annoying because I love using Kuradal for Slayer. And, well, it's kind of like how Magic got some sort of a demotion or something. I'm not really sure what. It just, well, seems to be kind of like a demotion to me. And anyway, that's not the only update that Jagex came out with this week. The next one they came up with is a safe mode, which on my current connection I like using, which is basically a mode where they cut out a whole lot of the graphics options, and it's extremely easy to, well, have a good connection. If you don't have a very good connection, you can use this to not have a whole lot of lag. It's not too special, but it's a nice little thing to have. But definitely my favorite bit of the entire update is the playlists. Since I am one of the few people who actually listens to RuneScape music, you can now have a playlist of up to 12 different songs, and you can shuffle between those songs. And I really like it because, conveniently, there are 12 songs that I like. And you can add them and remove them from your playlist by pressing these buttons here. You can check your playlist and turn it on or off, and of course, if you unlock a new theme, it will go to that. But usually, you can have any of the songs playing at once, and you can have them shuffling between them as well, instead of going straight through. So, it's really a nice thing to have if you like listening to the RuneScape music. And that's definitely my favorite part, just because I love listening to RuneScape music while I play RuneScape. I just have it muted right now because of this video. And, well, so even though I'm not going to bother putting in any graphical things, like saying what I think of the update, I'll just say it right in this audio. I personally think that this entire update week, with the safe mode, the playlists, and the Strykewyrms, should get like a 9 or a 9.5. The only reason why I think that it might be a bit of an annoyance for the Strykewyrms is that Kuradal does not assign Jungle ones, and you do need a Tizhar Fire Cape before you can actually fight the Ice Strykewyrms. And I don't think that's a very good. Actually, I'm kind of split on that. I mean, it's not too bad that it makes sense that if it's an ice thing, you can use a Fire Cape to heat yourself up. But I mean, it does seem kind of like Jagex is shoving minigames down our throats. And for people who, for example, might not have a good connection and could probably never defeat Job because of that, might be left out, and they'll really suck. Especially because of, oh yeah, I never really got to there, did I? I forgot to tell you about their Ice Strykewyrm special drop, which is a Staff of Light, which is probably one of the greatest magic items ever created. Even though for some reason it has melee stats of like a dragon weapon, it actually also has a few special effects to it. Plus 15% magic damage, an eighth of a chance of not using any runes whatsoever whenever you're fighting, and a special attack that protects you from 50% of all melee damage to you for a minute, and acts as a Slayer Staff. So it's a very useful piece of magic equipment, and it's dropped by Ice Strykewyrms. But since you can only get Ice Strykewyrms when they're your task, and you need a Fire Cape, that's kind of an annoying combination to get. So because of partially the Fire Cape and partially because of Kuradal not assigning the Jungle Strykewyrms, I'd say this update week gets a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10 instead of a 10. But other than that, I think it's quite good. And, well, that's basically it from me. I really only have this up because, well, I don't have any sort of quests to do a Let's Quest for yet. So, well, this is the very first time I'm actually doing a video for something that is not a machinima competition, so I hope that you guys have the patience to watch it. And I look forward to seeing if anyone likes to comment on what they think of this update week.